Well, here we are, another stop on the journey to finding hope, inspiration, and positivity in this crazy world we all live in. You are listening to Changing the Perspective podcast. If you are watching this on YouTube, please subscribe to our channel and like this video below. If you are listening on a podcast service, please like our podcast on your preferred service. No matter how you choose to hear this interview, we are grateful you are following us on this journey.
Yes.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Changing the Perspective. Today, I have one of my many people I've connected with on Facebook through that podcast community. It's been an amazing community to connect with and actually even go international. And so today, I have one of my international friends with me, Paola. See, I told you. I told you I would butcher it. Paola. Pronounce it. You pronounce it. Go ahead. Paola. See?
Can you hear me?
Yes. I told you I would butcher it. She is here to talk about kind of something, again, I've talked about being close to my heart, and her story resonates again in that abuse and the just how to get yourself healed from kind of some trauma. And so I really appreciate you being here with us today. So tell us your story and where this all kind of started for you.
Me your show. Well, this is it's a story of self-love to start off with, because the end result has been a beautiful result, and the journey together obviously has been a little bit complicated because I wasn't in a stage in my life back then, and I think that looking back, I understand why I attracted this people in my life, because I was seeking validation, right? Subconsciously, I wanted to feel that I was wanted, that I was needed, that I was going to save somebody. So when I first met this person, it was like, everything. He was giving me everything that I ever wanted, the attention, the love, the this and the other. And it was so beautiful. And finally getting something that I hadn't felt in a very long time, right? And I heard his story, and he was like, oh yeah, my life has been so rough. And I'm thinking, wow, I'm going to be the savior. I'm going to be this and that kind of saves and changes this man, and I'm gonna be, my ego was kind of flurrying up there. So subconsciously I kind of took this as a project. I'm gonna see how I can actually see how this person changes because of me and the love that I give him. Anyway, that didn't really last very long, because as the relationship began developing, I started seeing little things here and there, and things weren't just right or adding up. He would say things like, oh, I love you, I want to be with you, but his actions would be completely different. And I started wondering, like, what is this really? What's this? Why is this happening? Am I just making things up? Am I expecting too much from this person? And it wasn't like something completely, overnight that he changed. It was very subtle things and behaviors he started changing, or not making me think that I was the one that was wrong when I would question certain things. And that would bring a lot of confusion, a lot of self-doubt about what I was actually feeling. So it was a lot of mind games. And even though I wanted to feel that I was strong and independent as I had gone into started with a relationship, I lost myself along the way. I felt that I didn't know who I was. I was so codependent on this person. I knew that he was toxic, yet I didn't know how to get out of it because I didn't feel that I could be okay being by myself. So instead of just listening, those inner self that tells you he's not a good person for you, move on, my stubbornness kept telling me, no, I'm going to change this person. It's not so bad. I've always taken care of everybody. I don't really need to take care of myself. So with those signs that kept coming and popping up, I chose to just keep on with this relationship, even though it was hurting me. I was completely depressed. I had lost my identity. I had become very unhappy because when one is frustrated about life and relationships, you can't really pretend that you're okay in the situation and then your life is going to be fine, right? It adds up in different aspects of your life. And my joy and the happiness that I once had started fading away, like little by little, and even like becoming very resentful or angry or snappy, and just being like I couldn't even stand myself. So when I realized that I was becoming like this, I still was so stubborn. I was like, no, I can forgive him another time. I can just stop. No, it's gonna go away, and he's going to change. He's gonna understand my cry, and he's going to be sympathetic, and then I would, burst into tears and be like, please hear me out. And there was no reaction. And it was like I was talking to a wall. And I felt like the wall could even understand me better than this person. Right?
Yep.
I'm sure you're laughing because you identify with what I'm saying.
Yes.
and it was like this frustration of like, just hear me out. I just want to be heard. I just want to be understood. I don't want you to tell me that I'm always wrong or that I'm doing everything wrong and that I'm just not worth anything. Right? And then my stubbornness would be like, yeah, but I can do these things. I can be and do. I don't need this person. But then my codependency just brought me into this anxiety that I can't even understand. Like I became overly possessive, overly jealous, obviously because there was things to be jealous about. He was cheating on me. But even despite all these signs of and proof, he's cheating on me, I just still couldn't face the fact of leaving him. I mean, now I look back and I say, Paola, you were insane. How did you not just walk away? Right?
Mm-hmm.
But at that moment, you think like, how could he even do this to me, that he tells me that he loves me so much? He would never.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like an inner dialogue and denial. And because I was in such a low place in my life that I didn't validate myself. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know my worth. I just let this whole environment keep going and going and going. And in the meantime, my whole self was just like crying to be heard, crying to get out of the situation, but I couldn't find the strength to do it. And it's like this battle of the mind that yes, you want to, but you're so stuck and you're so drawn to this relationship that's sucking the life out of you that you don't even know how to get yourself out of the situation. So so many things had happened, and I was completely down and depressed. And I remember one of my turning points was that I said, you know what? I just need to travel. I need to think and be by myself. And at that time, we had gone to Switzerland. That was where his family lived, and I met his family, and they were really nice. But I also felt like, no, this isn't the kind of relationship I want. I didn't feel it, but I was still like, no, but I'm still with this person. And then I said, no, I need to go to Spain, to Barcelona. That was the place that I really had been wanting to go for a long time. And I told him I need to do this by myself. So I went there, and it was like the place that I've been wanting to be for the longest time. That was my dream place. And I remember landing and trying to feel happy and seeing everyone kind of like enjoying life. And I'm there, and I realized how unhappy I was. I realized that I was in this beautiful place, yet I was so unhappy. I was in this dream place, and yet I was seeing my life as a movie. I was the spectator. I wasn't actually the actor of the movie. And I was just seeing how people were living their life, and my life was passing by, and I wasn't doing anything about it. So I remember going to a beach park, and I was walking by myself, and this guy decides to start walking with me. I was like, well, okay, fine, good company, whatever. We went for a little walk, and we had some wine, and I wasn't telling him anything. It was just like a very friendly conversation. And we parted our ways, and before we parted ways, he tells me, "Can I just tell you something?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." He goes, "I see there's a lot of sadness in you. And I know that you are going through a difficult time, but you're going to get through this." And if he would have said one more word, I probably would have started like pouring and crying and doing this whole thing, because I just felt like the whole emotion was here, and I just had to release it and get it all out. And I was like, thank you. And I left, and I went to my hotel room, and I just, bawled out. I was like, oh my God, what am I doing with my life? This total stranger that doesn't even know who I am, he comes and tells me that he feels that I'm struggling with something, and I can't have my life like this anymore. So that was the moment, that was the decisive moment where I said, I need to change my life. I don't know how difficult this is going to be, but I need to, because if not, I'm going to end up sick physically, mentally, emotionally, and I didn't want that. I was already feeling like my body wasn't responding. I was depressed, and so many things were happening in my life. So I remember coming back, and it took me a few days to say, you know what, I'm cutting it. But even though it was such a difficult decision, and when I did it, I felt like a balloon had just popped, and all that air was just kind of like deflating. And I knew I had a long ways to go, because that was just the first decision, and I knew it was going to be a long road. And to make a statement to myself that I wasn't going back, because so many times I had been like, we break up, we make up, we break up, we make up. I remember I was like, no, this is it. And I chopped my hair. I was like, I'm telling myself that I'm not going back. This is a new Paola. And I chopped my hair like really short. I was like, oh, okay. If this is what's meant to happen, And I thought, okay, you know what? I can deal with a breakup. It's only him, and I know that I can detach myself from him. But little did I know that this codependency was so much stronger than what I had even experienced in my life. And now I know that it's like a drug. It's the same chemicals that you use in your brain to detach from drugs, right? So just the fact that I couldn't text him, or that I was telling myself I can't text him, I can't hear back from him, and that whole mind game that he was still playing with me and detaching myself from him was so hard. I can't even explain it, because it wasn't even like a normal relationship,
Yeah.
I mean, I forgot another part that actually became abusive. So even despite that part, I was like, okay, I have to go, but I just didn't find the strength to do it. So I remember I just had like post-trauma, if that's what you can call it, when I would just wake up at night and I couldn't sleep, and I kept thinking, maybe if I would have done this, then these things wouldn't have happened. Like blaming myself for not being the person that I needed or was expected to be. And having a lot of guilt of, oh yes, he must be right about this. Oh yeah, I'm never gonna find anybody that loves me the way that I am, or I'm just so bad, I'm not good enough. And just like this whole emotional roller coaster of 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 emotions that I didn't know how to get it out. And I had kept to myself all these things. I hadn't really told anyone what was really going on, you know. I was like, yeah, our relationship is fine and whatever, but no one knew how difficult the difficulties I was going through. No one knew about the abuse. No one knew about the way he was treating me. Everyone thought, oh, he's such a nice guy. He treats you so good, Paula. You need to be nice to him. And I'm thinking, like, little do you know what really is going on. So for me, the fact that I hadn't really shared everything with anyone and I just kept it to myself, I think that was the biggest struggle, because I felt like I needed to deal with this on my own. And I started opening up a little bit more and then sharing a little bit of the things that had happened. And it helped me to release a lot of this anger. But I wasn't in a good place and I was sick. I got a herniated disc. I was starting a new job, but I just couldn't even focus or concentrate. And I remember just feeling that my whole world had been turned down. I had lost a lot of my friends, supposed friends that were supposed to be on my side. They went on his side. So it was a lot of, I just felt that I had been betrayed by everyone. And I was the victim, yet I felt like I was the one that was the bad person, because he went off with and he had all the things that I was hoping to have with him. He stayed with the house, he stayed with the friends, he stayed with the money, he stayed with everything, and everyone gravitated towards him. And I was like, guys, he's not a good person. I wanted to scream it out, but at the same time, I didn't want to sound like the crazy one that was like saying all the stories, right? So I kind of just withdrew and I said, I don't want to have anything to do with these people. Yes, I am very upset, very angry. I almost felt like I needed to find that revenge. Like, how dare you treat me like this and then pretend that you get a girl the first day that we break up. And this, like, my ego just kept coming up, and just so many feelings. And I was like, you know what, I can't live like this. It came to a place where it wasn't even about the relationship, it was my whole entire life. Like, what am I doing with my life? All these things have piled up and I need to get rid of this huge thing in my life. And that's when I started with personal development and really seeking and searching myself. That helped me, that led me to go to LA for 6 months. Unexpectedly, I was just going to be there 10 days and then I ended up being 6 months. But I was just searching. I was so desperate to find out who I was as a person, what my mission was, that I just didn't want to just exist. I didn't want to just live and pretend that I was this another person. I knew that there was more. And if I had gone through such difficulty in my life and trying to overcome this, I didn't feel like this whole pain was in vain. So I first started seeking outside, like, oh, I want to make money with this and do this and the other, to just like find the answers to distract myself and even like show off, like, oh, I'm so good. I can, it's my subconscious, like, tell him that I'm fine without him and I don't need him and I'm just, having and living my great life. But deep down inside, I was like, no, this isn't it. This like, and in LA, I think it's one of those cities that you can find everything. Anything that you're looking for, there you have it. So it can also be a little bit overwhelming because you just get bombarded with, like, go to the seminar and do this and try this. And I was there, Paola, signing up for 20 different things. Okay, I'm going to have the seminar. I was like, and it was so overwhelming. I was like, this can't be. This can't be that I'm just like, I'm searching and I'm just exhausted. I'm exhausted of searching for so long. So I remember going to one of this real estate events, and Tony Robbins was going to be a speaker there. And he went on for 2 3 hours, not much, but the words that he spoke were like, it really got to me. He said, life is not about just existing. Life is about to be enjoyed, to share your message, because everyone is special. We all have something special that we can share with the world. And no matter what stage in your life you're at, you can always, that doesn't have to dictate. It's not a sentence for you. You can get out of that sentence. And we humans, we tend to live in this prison because we feel that because we did all these mistakes, we have to stay in this place. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's exactly right. I've been putting a sentence on myself for everything that I've done and I felt, and I haven't given myself permission to live. So that led me to more on the personal growth, and then finding mentors and coaches, and then figuring out like, what do I really want to do with my life? I mean, I love people, I love traveling, I love connecting with others, I love helping. What would it be the mission in my life, right? And just little by little, I started realizing that I could help so many people, so many women, through the things that I had gone through, and learning some tools and techniques. And even if I knew that if I could have had a shortcut to everything that I lived through, it would have helped me so much, because I was in confusion. I didn't know who I was. And that's why when I learned that it wasn't only his fault, I couldn't place blame on him. Oh, he did this, It's like, why did I attract this person in my life? Where was I in that point in my life that I just wanted this person, and I called him in unconsciously, but he was there. And really take responsibility for everything that I did, so that the relationship could go on and develop in a toxic way, because it's never a one-way street. It always takes two people. And even if the person is the abuser, you always have the power to do something about it. You do not have to allow anyone in your life to talk to you, to treat you in a certain way. And that we have to set those boundaries, nobody else. So, you go through stages of feeling sorry for yourself, playing victim. And I think it's a process. It's not like, oh my gosh, you don't go through this. Yes, you have to mourn, you have to feel the pain, because you've kept it in for so long, and you just have to get it out, right? But don't stay there forever. And that's the problem. A lot of people just stay there forever, and they keep talking about the same problem, and they keep repeating the same story, attracting the same men in their life, again with a different face, right? Because they keep blaming the other person for the faults, and not assuming responsibility and saying, where did I go wrong? What is it that I can change in order for my next relationship to be better? That I don't drag all these things that I've been dragging on and put it on my next partner, because it's not your partner's fault that you're traumatized about things that happened in your past relationship.
Yeah.
Right? That's the
Right.
work that each one of us has to do. So
Yeah.
I realized that that's what I needed to do in order to truly heal, not pretend that I had healed. To truly heal was to also look at my past, to see how my relationship was with my mom, with my dad, with my childhood, even memories that brought me to a place of, why did I want to attract a person this way, right? What was I lacking before that in my subconscious I needed this validation? And it made me realize so many things about me. Like, I'm number 3 of my family of 7 kids. So I was the middle child.
Mhm.
I always felt forgotten, like, lost in the midst of also many children.
Right.
I never felt special. So as growing up, I needed to find that somebody really could give me what I had been lacking on my childhood,
Yeah.
just to put one of the many examples. But then when you start going back and realizing that everything is attached to everything,
Mhm.
you realize that if you don't heal and you don't realize this part of your life of why you needed this validation, then the next relationship, you're going to seek that. You're going to be like, oh, give me this. I can't do this without you. You know, I need to be codependent on you. And then it's like, okay, you keep
Yeah.
following that pattern.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been a journey of, wow, so many, like really letting go of patterns, mindsets,
Mhm.
healing. I a lot of tears, a lot of forgiveness to myself, um, forgiveness to this person. And I know that forgiving the other person can be a total different topic, because that's a really personal process,
Yeah.
and everyone will have a time where they will be able to let go, right? And I think that for me kind of just closes down the whole episode of that stage in my life. But
Mhm.
um, I think the most important thing is forgiving yourself for everything that happened. And of course, forgiving everybody else around you. But the true change really comes with you first.
Yes.
The change that you're seeking is not going to come from your environment, from seeking another partner, from seeking validation or approval from somebody else. You kind of have to do that. You need to find your approval. You need to be your best friend. You need to find yourself. You need to find your own soul again, that has been like on the other side, right? And I think that's one of the hardest things to come to terms with. Like, it's so simple, yet it's almost so complicated
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
to love ourselves,
Yeah.
right?
For sure. It's a hard one.
Loving ourselves, it takes a lot of courage, because it's also being with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's seeking that time that you need to spoil yourself, to read a book, to go on a walk, to have a massage, or whatever that means, by yourself. See
Yeah.
how you can enjoy your own company.
Yeah. That's
And a
good.
lot of people can't do that.
Mhm.
They need something. They need the external things. They need friends. They need parties. They need boyfriends. They need guys. They need, confusion, TV. They need all these things.
Yeah.
But in the quietness, we're going to find ourselves. We're going to know who we really are.
Yeah.
And when those relationships come our way, we're going to know whether they're good for us or they're bad for us. And we're going to be able to say yes or no to them.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh yeah, I want to be with you. And this controlling person comes and you're like, oh yeah, I'll welcome them because I don't want to be alone. You're going to be like, wait a minute. I am ruler of my own life. I am the queen. Do
Yeah.
I want this in my life? No. Then you go away, right?
Yeah.
And you just don't allow bad people, or situations in your life, because you have become the ruler of
Yeah.
your life.
Yeah.
And that is the most powerful thing you can give to any human,
Yeah.
male or female, right?
Okay.
When you take a hold of your power, when you take your power back, and you don't allow anyone to even diminish what you know is right for you.
Yeah.
So
I like it.
for me, that's been a great, very big lesson of
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
realizing who I truly am through the whole process of
Yeah. So
of
can I go
finding
back?
myself.
Can I go back to a few things?
Sure.
Okay. So you talk about kind of that, I call it the fix it mentality, but I'm going to save him. I'm going to fix him. I'm going to help him get through stuff. Um, I think that is a problem that men and women both have, is this, I'm going to fix whatever is wrong with that person. And I feel like as I've gotten older and now in a healthy relationship, I'm realizing there's a difference in guiding someone in seeking their own clarity in their life versus fixing it. So now that you look back, do you feel like you that fix it thing is really what got you drawn completely into that relationship?
I believe that it had a really big part in it,
Yeah.
because I know that it was part of my ego to say, I'm going to make this person the way that I want him to, and I'm going to take the credit for it because I went out of my way and I try to do this, right? And I, in my own way, I was also controlling of him. Like, you know what? Try to do this, don't do that, but in an unhealthy way. And like you said, there's ways that you can point out to the person, but without having to completely transform and change the way that he is.
Right.
I mean, if your partner is open to advice, he's going to see his own mistakes and he's going to welcome them.
Yeah.
And he's going to try to change because he truly loves you, because he wants to make you happy. He wants a relationship to work.
Right.
But if it's one way thing and the person is trying to pretend that everything is his way, and he finds that self-development or growth does not work for him, then you're like, going against the wall. So
Right.
after a while, I realized, like, damn, I'm really not going to change him, am I?
It's true.
This is an impossible situation.
It's true. So you talked about actions or words versus actions. And one of the mentors that I have had through my life, I mean, has told me over and over, behavior never lies. Like, you can hear the words as much as you want, but you have to watch the behaviors, because the words mean nothing if they're not following through with actions. So now that you have been through this relationship, do you kind of go into new relationships with even friends or whoever, and you start analyzing, like, I know they said that, but this is how they actually acted? Do you start like analyzing that yourself?
Yes,
I feel like I do. So
totally. Yes.
yeah.
It's like, and I always tell the person, my partner, I was like, you know what? For me, actions speak louder than words.
Mm-hmm.
And I always tell them, I tell them the story. I'm like, this guy was to tell me, I love you, I love you, I love you. But his actions would mean nothing to me, because he would turn around and he would be like disrespectful, abusive, doing everything that was not congruent to his words. So for me, I was like, I love you doesn't even, don't even tell me that you love me. Like, that doesn't help me right now. I'd rather you tell me you don't love me, or don't say those words until you actually mean it, because it's like a broken record. I love you, want to be with you. I'm like, have those words have just like you memorize them, because they're just like, I didn't even feel them. Yeah. So now I'm very aware of it. I'm like, you know what? Actions speak louder than words. Don't tell me that you're going to do something and you don't do it.
Yeah.
Because from my experience, I know that it just doesn't, for me, it doesn't do it.
Yeah.
Maybe many women want to hear the words, I love you, but I don't. If they don't mean it, please don't tell me that.
Yes.
You can send me flowers, you can do this, and I'll be like, oh, beautiful. Sure, of course. What woman doesn't want to be, spoiled and well taken care of?
Right.
And sometimes you can tell a person that you love them by the actions and even other words that you can put, right? But be congruent with your actions and the words that you say. I think that's so important.
Yeah.
That's and like you said, it's not only in relationships, like love relationships, but also in friendships, in other environments. It's something that we have to a lot of people said, yeah, I'm going to do it, but then they don't do it. And then
Right.
it's like,
Yeah.
it doesn't make you trust the person.
Right.
So
That's
yeah.
a big thing.
And I told him, like, my toxic relationship, they told me that they loved me like after 3 dates. And back then I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like, please don't tell me you love me after 3 dates, because it's not gonna work for me. I'm not gonna like melt again. I'm gonna be like, red flag.
Red flags. They just start going off everywhere.
Yeah. Number 2, oh no, get away.
So bad. So you talked about going back a few different times. So statistically, the average abuse victim goes back 7 times in their relationship before they decide to get out. And that's statistics. I love that you have this like story of, I just chopped my hair off and said, I'm going to be a new person. And like, it's time. I think that is awesome. So I want to commend you for making that kind of change and deciding like to cut it off, because obviously that is not a typical abuse thing. You go back until you just physically can't go back again, like you just can't. So I think that's awesome. I just want to make that comment to you.
Well, it did take me a few times to,
Yes.
to go back. I'm like, we're gonna break up. Fine, we break up. And then, the texting comes back again. And that one of you is gonna text. It's like, who's gonna be the first one, right?
Mhm.
And you're waiting, you're anxiously waiting, and then you're gonna start chatting, and it's like, okay, let's meet up. And it's like, oh yeah, make up. And then all of a sudden you feel this release, like there's no more anxiety in you,
Mhm.
but your heart is telling you like, run. Or at least in my case, it was like,
Yes.
run, Paul. And I was like, no, I'm okay.
Yeah.
I can deal with this.
Yeah.
This is better than just the pain, the unknown pain.
Yeah.
So yeah. And then finally, I think, I don't even know how many times I broke up. Must have been more than 7. But the definite one was like,
I love
this
it.
is it.
I love it. So the last thing I kind of want to talk about before I kind of find out where you are now and what all you're doing. You talk about that kind of being self-aware and owning your part of the problem. And in the abuse society, that is sometimes really hard to do because we just see this evil person that we think is in front of us. And we don't self-assess very frequently, I guess, to know how could we have really changed until you're so far past healing that now you can self-assess all you want, but that part is so far over, the relationship doesn't matter anymore. So do you feel like after you got out and you start self-assessing, this relationship and how you could have done things different, has it caused you to self-assess lots of areas in your life, not just relational, but health and work and all the pieces of your life, or just relational?
Well, no, definitely every aspect of my life, because everything is linked to everything. There is no separation. It's not like, oh yeah, I take responsibility for my health, but I won't take responsibility for my finances or my relationship, right? We're holistic beings. So when you start realizing that I'm where I'm at because of the decisions that I've made, nobody else has made them for me, you start realizing that one has to take accountability for every aspect of their life.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that stage of blaming can only go on for so long.
Yeah.
And I know it's really easy to tell the story because we love to hear people feeling sorry for us or have that sympathy. It's like, oh my gosh, you went through that poor thing. And we feel like it's feeding our whole, anger, our whole pain.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, yes, give me more. And you're like, yes, okay, and then you relive all these things. But reliving it a million times, it's not going to make the pain go away.
Yeah.
And I think we need to realize that. just because you said the story a million times from a place of like, oh, this person did this. I mean, you can keep telling your story, but there's two ways of saying it. Yes, I went through this and I overcame it, and this is where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
Or going and staying in the same place and be like, yes, this
Yeah.
person is horrible. I hate him. He's this. He should never, like, come on. That's never gonna help your growth. So I think when we go through that, it's really important to stop focusing on the other person. We've been so used to focusing on this person, on how we're going to change him, becoming obsessive about their every move, knowing everything that's happening in their life, and all of a sudden this person is gone, right? And then we have to focus on ourselves. And I think for me that was the hardest thing, like, oh my gosh, I don't have power over this person anymore. I never did, but I thought I did at some point, right? Or he had some power over me. Now I have zero power over this person. I can't control any decisions that he does, whether he's with another woman, whether he keeps abusing them, whether he's whatever he's doing. I can't do that. The only person I can control is me. Yeah. So I need to take responsibility for my decisions and really hone that, like, face my fears, face my demons, okay? And say, yes, I fucked it up. But maybe I didn't really, right? Because it wouldn't have brought me to the place where I'm at right now.
Yeah, that's true.
So, it's like blessings in disguise. But that helped me to also analyze every aspect of my life, because I didn't just travel to LA to heal myself from this relationship. It was like, oh my gosh, I need to find myself. In every area of my life, right? So yes, I think that really helped me to understand that taking responsibility in every aspect of my life is it's basic for any change that one has to have in their life.
Yeah, I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
I tell people I am a survivor of domestic abuse, or narcissistic abuse is what I say. And I use that survivor because I think survivors go through some bad stuff, but they tend to learn lessons through their survival. And so I've chosen that word kind of for that, because, my husband and I talk, it was a horrible time in my life, but I'm not sure without it, I could appreciate what I'm in now, because it created something different in me. And now I appreciate different things than I ever would have prior to that. So, I mean, it sucked when it was happening, but I think I'm a pretty cool person now from it all. So whatever, know? So, well, tell us what are you doing now? Kind of where are you at? What are you doing? What are you working on?
Well, I've after this whole process, I decided to serve others, become a coach, and help women also get their power back. Well, men and women. There's so many people suffering from relationships, and not only abusive relationships, but even like trying to know. Sometimes you're in a relationship, but you're not even happy with it, right? And I think it's about finding your power and finding the courage to say yes to yourself. I think anyone that has left any abusive relationship made that unconscious decision or conscious decision to find that courage that took them to the next level, because you're so tired of being in that situation, and that could go on forever. And like the moment that I made that decision, I was like, oh my gosh, one of us is gonna die. And I was like, I don't know who that's gonna be, because I had become a horrible person too, right?
Yeah.
But so many people are unhappy, and they're stuck in their life, in their personal life, in their relationship, in what they want to do, and they're so afraid to let go. They're afraid because maybe they've been depending on this person financially. Maybe they have children. Maybe they don't feel like they can contribute anything more in the world, right? But finding that inner power and knowing that we are humans, that we are meant to do so much more, and it's
Yeah.
this life is to be enjoyed, to not just exist but to live it to the fullest.
Mhm.
It's something that I'm very passionate about. I guess from the experience that I had been living, that I lived, to actually finding that there's tools that
Mm.
we can use to find ourselves, to know that we don't have to accept situations in our lives. And it all depends on us, on our mindset, on the willpower to actually want to do it. So I've been doing a lot of work with that, and
Okay.
I find it really fun, fulfilling. And I'm also creating a podcast for women.
Yeah.
That's in Spanish.
Yes.
um,
If you are
so I also
Spanish, where can they find your podcast?
Well, it's about to launch, so
Cool.
I will let know. But my account right now is Soy Paola Frias in Spanish.
Okay.
Um, so that's where you can find me. You're going to find a lot of new stuff coming up in those next couple of weeks.
Okay.
And yeah, I just want to inspire women to take that action. I think that if we can unite, if we can inspire other women and just people, humanity in general, to make positive changes in our lives, we can grow so much. You
Yeah.
know,
And it,
it's not about division, it's
Mhm.
about unity
Yeah.
and expansion.
And
So I'm all for that.
if I remember right, you were kind of focusing on the Latino kind of culture, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
because no, yeah, because you know, I'm bilingual, and I've had a lot of. I'm blessed to have been able to attend a lot of seminars by a lot of all these coaches that people know their
Mm.
names by, and the more I got into this work, I realized that I didn't know a lot of people that were in this place in Spanish, right in the market, and I'm sure there's tons, but I I felt like there's a reason why I'm here. There's a reason why I'm I need to connect with the Latin culture, and that's been my desire. And I feel that
Yeah.
there's so much potential and there's so much that we can do, and creating that environment of support
Yeah.
is something that I'm passionate about. That I think that it's funny, right? Some many of us women tend to be like we actually criticize women more than men criticize women.
Yeah. It's true.
Right, we tend to
Yeah.
yeah, we tend to be like, oh, look what she's wearing, and she's this and the
Yeah.
other, and we try to compare ourselves. But I really feel that if we can live in a society where there's no comparing, because we're all beautiful, we're all unique, we
Mhm.
all have our unique talents, and we can accept ourselves and accept others, you know, there's so much that we could do.
Yeah.
There's no separation. There could be less jealousy. There could be more collaboration. And that's one of my goals, to really find those women that are like-minded women that
Yeah.
also want to support each other, because the more we grow, the more we help other people, the more we're going to benefit. It's not the other way around. It's not like, oh,
Yeah.
more for me and less for you. You
Right.
know, it's not about living in scarcity. It's about, let's give, because the universe is vast and there's enough, plenty
Yes.
for everyone and more.
Yes.
So
Yeah. We
that's what
will
I'm passionate about.
And we will make sure we put those links to where people can find you and your podcast in the description of this interview, so that everybody can just click on it and find you immediately. So, all of our viewers out there who may be Spanish speaking, this is going to be a great podcast that she's been working on for a while. Her and I talked in January. She was having construction done around her home, and we had to reschedule because we heard a whole bunch of crazy noises. So,
Yes.
but we got to have a great conversation about what all you were doing, and I think my viewers who are Spanish fluent would really enjoy your take on it. So I think it'll be awesome. Yeah.
Thank
So,
you. Yes.
like, advice do you have for anyone that could currently be in the situation you were in to help them out?
I I would say two things.
Okay.
Don't be afraid to don't be afraid to acknowledge where you're at. I think a lot of us feel shame for the things that we're going through, and we don't want to share with a lot of people because it's so personal, and we kind of tend to just keep it to ourselves. And as for me, what helped me was to really acknowledge that I really am not alone. And if you feel alone, there's someone that you can talk to, because seeing another perspective of the situation can even help you make better decisions.
Yeah.
Right. And another thing that I would say is, I think when you're in that situation, you don't see anything more than your problem.
Yeah.
But start with really asking yourself what you really want in your life. Because when you start asking that question, you're going to realize that maybe you're not in the right place right there.
Yeah.
Right. And don't be afraid to be honest with yourself. Talk to yourself, because we have the answers. We don't have to look outside for the answers. And if we actually just quiet ourselves, our own heart and mind, it's going to tell us what to do and what we want, and just listen to that, and don't judge yourself. Don't judge yourself because you're in that situation, but listen to it and start taking the steps that you're going to need in order to make that change.
Yeah.
It's not overnight. It's a process. We've all gone through that. Sometimes it takes months, weeks, years.
Yes.
But once you know that you really want that change, God, the universe is going to start making a way for you to get out of that situation. So don't despair. Don't lose hope. Don't think, oh, this is never going to happen to me. Listen to this. Talk to yourself. Make time for you. Don't think about anybody else. Think about you. I think that's the most important thing.
That's good. I like it. All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for watching this today or listening on your podcast service. If you watched it on YouTube, please subscribe to our channel below, like this video, comment on anything that you learned. We would love to hear from you. If you're listening on a podcast service, make sure to favorite us on your service so that you can be notified every week when we have a new interview that comes out. We hope everyone had a great week. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you next time. Bye.